Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, Almost a Cinephile. My name is Becca. If you're new here, then we talk all things movies and physical media. Today we are going to be going through my 5 worst / most disappointing videos. I have already done my 5 favourites of the year. I did that just before Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of you guys. I hope you had a really good one. I'm now filming this kind of New Year's Eve-ish, hoping to get this up by. So a little New Year's Eve treat for you lot. But I've already gone through that, so I will link that down below if you haven't seen my top 5. This will be kind of my bottom 5. These aren't like the worst movies I've ever seen. They're just the ones that didn't hit it for me when I watched them this year. There are a couple that were pretty bad, but definitely just ones that I thought were going to be something that they weren't. Things that were a little bit like disappointing, things I thought were really supposed to be very good and weren't, maybe, stuff like that. So it's not necessarily like these are awful movies. I will touch upon if they are really awful movies, but they just didn't kind of scratch the itch. They didn't do what I thought they were going to do for me. So we're going to go 5 to 1, and these are in no particular order of, but like worst to worstest. They're just, you know, I'm just going to spit some films at you, let you know why they didn't do it for me. And at number 5 is going to be, we're going to go all the way back. And number 5, I've already forgotten. And number 5 is Leave the World Behind. So this film, I think, again, came out more the end of 2023. I don't know if I've got that 100% right. It may have come out this year, but I have got the book. So I've got the book, Leave the World Behind. And I read this book and I really, really liked it. I thought it was really interesting. And it was quite scary because the elements in this book, you never really knew the intentions or the motives behind what the hell was going on. And that was kind of the scary part. Like, you know, her kid was losing his teeth. The animals were going crazy. People had left their houses, but there was never any inkling as to what was going on. There was no flyers dropping from the sky. There was no Teslas going mad. It was more also like that everything in their heads and in their actions was kind of going in a bit of a loop. So they were constantly going back on themselves, and it was almost like stuck and trapped in a fever dream. That's why, as I said, I really liked this book. When I watched the Julia Roberts film, I think it's got Ethan Hawke in it as well, who I really love. I love both of those actors, very, very good. There was just, there was just motives in that movie that I didn't like and didn't need to be there. The whole point in the book was that the scary elements and the, you know, the things that made it creepy and uncomfortable were because you didn't know, like you didn't have a clue what was going on. And I found that the film put its own motives in, a few weird things that were going on, like Teslas going off and driving themselves into each other. That didn't happen in the book, but I think like that's a clear poke at Elon Musk potentially. There was just things that didn't need to happen. Like it told you what was kind of happening. I think, was it China or somewhere that was attacking us, or was attacking America, sorry guys. And I just didn't, it didn't feel like it needed to happen. It didn't feel like that needed to be the thing. Like, I think they could have kept it within the house setting, because the book is all set in the house. They only travel outside the house twice, and once he gets lost, and the second time they try and save their son, because as I said, he's coming down with something. They can't work out what it was, and they go and ask for aid and they don't get it. That's the only time they leave the house, and I just don't quite understand why they didn't go more with the book than their own ideas, to be honest. Yeah, there's just so many things that I just didn't like. Like, I didn't like the fact that they changed the black couple into a father and daughter. I feel like it made a lot more sense to have an older couple that was a man and a wife. I think that that worked really well in the book and didn't translate as well into the film. It just didn't hit for me. I was so looking forward to it as well. I was really looking forward to seeing what they were going to do with this movie, because I liked the book so much, and it just really flopped hard for me. Another film that I believe is a Netflix original, I think Leave the World Behind was also a Netflix film, is Damsel. We are going all the way back to, I don't even know, spring, summer of this year. I watched Damsel with the kids. I don't even know words to describe how annoying this film was. I know a lot of people said that Millie Bobby Brown was really good in it. I hated her in this. Granted, I've never seen her in Stranger Things. I've never watched Stranger Things. And yes, I know I'm probably like one of the only person on the planet that hasn't even tried watching Stranger Things. I've never got around to watching Stranger Things. So I don't know what she's like as an actress. This is kind of my first introduction to Millie Bobby Brown, and I thought like she was just so annoying. She was so annoying. She made so many stupid choices, and I just didn't understand this film at all. I just thought, like, even Ray Winston, I was like, man, have you stooped so low? He's such a great actor. And yeah, he tends to play, you know, the gruff kind of London, you know, bloke. I get he's always a bit typecasted in like certain situations, so that'll be interesting maybe to see him in it. But it was just trash. It's just utter trash. Like the dragon, I know a lot of people said like the dragon looks really good. I thought it looked awful. I hated the voice for the dragon. I did not understand that choice whatsoever. And the thing is, I really liked the idea of it. Like basically, you know, you think it's a fairy tale and it ends up being kind of like a culty thing where they feed the dragon the princesses. And I thought that's a really cool idea. Like, I don't mind a girl boss film. I just don't like it when they are so outrageously, like, just so outrageously too much. And it just, half of it didn't make any sense. Like, she cuts wood at the start of the film, and that's about all we can see of her being, you know, relatively, you know, looks after her family kind of thing. But it's just such a bad trope. Like, there was no, like she went from that to, like, you know, taking on a dragon and, you know, stunts and all this crazy stuff. And it, you could tell I'm really annoyed about this film. Oh, I just didn't like this film. Oh, I really didn't like this film. It was just so disappointing. And like, you know, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Let's move on. So another film I watched this year, and I don't know 100% if this was the year the Marvels came out, but I did watch the Marvels this year. I know that this project was under so many rewrites and reshoots, and, you know, the initial premises for the film, I believe, got changed multiple times. If you haven't seen the Marvels and you don't know what it's about, I'm not going to be the best person to really tell you because I cannot remember a lot of it, and that says a lot about the film in general. Basically, they are teaming up Captain Marvel, Ms. Marvel, and the lady from the WandaVision show. I don't even know her name. I don't know how she got her powers. And I watched WandaVision. I got to the end of Endgame and I started watching, was it phase 4, phase 5? And WandaVision was one of the first things that came out after Endgame. And I liked it. And then I didn't like it. And it just turned into, and then, you know, the rest of Marvel, it is it's what it is now, I suppose. It's not worth talking about, that's for sure. The rest of Marvel from then on has consistently been a massive letdown, in my opinion. I watched Thor: Love and Thunder after somebody recommended it was really funny, and I just thought that was a painful film to get through. I must admit, Thor: Love and Thunder was significantly worse than the Marvels, but the Marvels just, it just didn't hit. And I actually was one of the people that liked Captain Marvel as a film. I didn't hate it. I understand a lot of people thought it was like the original Girl Boss, that and Rey Skywalker. But I didn't hate it. I just felt like everything they've done, since Captain Marvel with the character has been making her look and feel worse and worse, if that makes sense. So yeah, the Marvels is on here just because I don't really remember much of it apart from cats eating people and saving them. And you know, even Samuel Jackson has been like very much ripped of all of his character. Like, his character was amazing, like in the first few films that they ever made. And now it's just, he's just a shell of a ghost of a person of what he once was. And they keep trying to make him even worse. Like, I saw him kissing a Skrull or a Skrull. Is it Skrull? In one of the shows that I have not seen and will not watch. And it's just, yeah, it's just naffing, isn't it? I'm a massive Marvel fan, and watching the decline of the MCU is sad because actually they did put out some bangers and then they almost kind of destroyed themselves. Number 2 on this list is Maxine. I really enjoyed X. I have seen a lot of Pearl, but I haven't actually watched it. So I can't really comment on Pearl itself, but I really did like X, and I was going to watch Pearl, but it's kind of been, a lot of it has been spoiled already for me, so I almost feel like I've already seen the film anyway. But Mia Goth is amazing in this franchise that's kind of almost become now. So I was really looking forward to Maxine. I felt like it was going to be really just blow my socks off, amazing, and really, I don't know if they're going to end the trilogy there. There's been some rumours that there's going to be another film, like another 4th or 5th film. So I'm talking at it as a trilogy. I was hoping it would be like a really great rounding of the trilogy, and I felt really, really disappointed with it. I was really waiting for something to go, you know, a little bit sideways, or yeah, I just was waiting for Maxine to wake up a little bit in this movie. She just felt very subdued, and I understand like PTSD and the trauma, we get to see a little bit of that play out, but I also felt like they could have played it so much more interestingly. Like, I get she wants to be a star and she really wants to make it in movies, and I understand that. I just think the whole way that came around was very strange. I just felt like there were elements of it that I really liked, and I kind of could see Maxine again. And then there were elements where I was like, this is kind of feels a bit rushed, or a bit like, how did she even get here? The usage of the Bates Motel I feel like was really underwhelming. And just, I feel like it was so predictable. I was waiting at the end for it not to be her dad, and for it to carry on being her dad was like, oh, it really is just going to be this is the ending. And then it ended, and I just felt like it was a bit of a letdown, unfortunately. So number 1 on this list is a very, very new watch, and I only literally watched it a couple of days ago. I watched it for my birthday. It was on Prime. I was like, I'm going to watch it. I was going to treat myself to the physical media copy of it, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I didn't feel like it was as good as I wanted it to be, and that is Love Lies Bleeding. So this film stars Kristen Stewart, and it tells the story of a romance between Jackie and Lou. Lou has a background history of kind of gangster violence, and her dad's a bit shady, and Jackie basically wants to work as a bodybuilder. She wants to star in bodybuilding competitions and work on her athleticism. And they come together, they meet in the gym that Lou runs basically, and they start a love affair, a relationship, and it's a lot more dramatic than a traditional romance, and I respect that, because if you haven't seen my kind of top standalone films off my shelves, I do talk about romance in that video, and I do mention that things like Blue Valentine, which is behind me, films like that where it's more of a dramaticized telling of a romance, I much prefer, because to me it feels much more realistic than, you know, the fairy tales or the kind of rom-com versions of romance. So it was a little bit more dramatic. It's meant to be like a thriller crime film. There's a few little horror elements in there. The gore in this was really, really good. I'm not going to take that away from it. And it was a little bit shocking. There are a couple of scenes that were a bit shocking. And that's what I wanted a lot more of. I wanted that to be kind of in it more. The thing that put me off the most was the kind of side story of Jackie taking steroids to obviously build her body. And it got to the point where it was kind of like, I don't know, was it magical realism? Was it in her head? Where you could see the muscles physically popping out as she was taking steroids. And it almost like gave her the Popeye effect. And then she went on a bit of a rampage. And I really don't understand where that came from in her as a character. That's the point, I think, that I didn't like about this film, was I didn't get Jackie's motives, and I didn't understand. We don't get much of her background story. She's a bit of a runaway. She goes on the phone and talks to her sibling, but her mum basically said, no, you're a monster. We don't want to talk to you. Like, she admits to Lou that she kills people, but did she just mean the people she just killed now, or did she mean like people in general? She's done it before. We don't really get a good enough reason as to why she went a bit off the wall so quickly as well. There wasn't enough substance to build on that for me, and the ending was just a little bit chaotic and what what, like, I just don't understand. I don't understand where we got from that to that. Like, I'm following a gritty 80s set kind of horror thriller dramatic love story, and then we get that at the end, and I just kind of thought, okay, I'm not really sure where we're going here. I don't know what we're aiming for here. And that just I really wanted to like it, and I love Kristen Stewart, and I love some of the choices she's made in terms of her career. I loved Twilight, don't you even come for me. And I love her stuttering. Like, I love every meme about her. I love her. I can't help it. I don't care. But I didn't think she was bad in this film at all. I thought she was really, really good. The acting wasn't bad. It wasn't the acting at all. It was just that it didn't give me enough of what I needed to follow along. They fell in love really hard as well. It was literally like the first night. There was no like tension or build up, or there's not. It was just too quick. Everything was too quick. That's why I don't think it gelled with me, and I really was a little bit disappointed. I wouldn't say it was like the worst film I've ever seen. It was definitely a really good movie, and if you like that kind of thing, then I would, you know, definitely recommend it. Give it a watch at least and see what you guys think. But there wasn't enough tension, there wasn't enough story, and the plot kind of derailed a little bit at the end for me. So those are my 5 kind of worst, there was a couple of worst ones in there, / most disappointing films of 2024. I have got a end of year haul coming, so stay tuned to that because it is quite a big one. I've got a few new things as well. I know, who am I? And I'm also going to go through a couple of goals for the new year in terms of what I want to do as a almost cinephile, and how I'm going to try and get, you know, consume even more movies and hopefully come back to you next year with a much longer list. But thank you so much for kind of sticking by me and subscribing. I really, really appreciate it. I am a very, very baby channel, but I hope to grow a little bit more over the next year. I'm hoping to just take out a little bit more content and be a little bit more present online. There's a couple of things I really want to do and get done. But I'm taking it really slow. This isn't my first YouTube channel. This isn't my first rodeo. And I know how it can really lead to burnout, so I'm just slowly taking my time, and I want to talk about things because I love the things I talk about, and that's why I'm on here. This is why Almost a Cinephile was born, because everybody in my family is not a movie lover. My husband is not bothered about movies. He would rather fall asleep. My family is, you know, they like films, but they don't really watch a lot. They don't consume a lot. They don't kind of broaden their horizons. A lot of them don't like horror or other genres that I much prefer to discuss. So this channel has been the most amazing outlet to be able to talk to you guys, and I love reading your comments. There's a lot of good recommendations that I've added to a list as well. So thank you for that. And Happy New Year. I hope you have the most amazing one, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.